The U.S. is looking to squeeze Tehran with yet more sanctions, but as the screws tighten, there's a boom in other quarters as Iran's agricultural sector picks up pace. That's coming up later this hour. Sequestration cuts have kicked in the United States, with the government now slashing $85 billion from its budget following political deadlock. But even as the first snips are made, the blame game is raging, with Democrats and Republicans desperate to offload responsibility. And economist Richard Wolff says the American people should prepare for the worst.
Republicans and Democrats alike are committed to an austerity policy, as we see it in Europe. Their only disagreement is exactly who gets cut, whose taxes get raised. And I'm very pessimistic, as are most observers in Washington, that we are about to do what Britain, Italy, Greece have done, with the same dire consequences looming in our future. If you cut government spending, as we're about to do, if you raise taxes on average people, which we did on January 1st with the rise in the payroll tax, those are a two hits on our economy. They depress the economy. They lose people jobs. They make people cut back in their spending. With less jobs and less spending, government tax revenues go down, and that erases whatever benefit you might have imagined would come to the government's budget. The irony is the economy gets worse and the government budget gets worse until they wake up and realize that this is an inappropriate way to go at a time of economic crisis.
Israel could become the first ever nation to enjoy the official status of America's major strategic ally. This, among other things, could mean the U.S. would be obliged to support any potential Israeli offensive against Iran. The proposed legislation is to be discussed at the annual American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee gathering about to kick off in Washington. That's despite the significance, of such a move. Neither of the leaders of the two countries are attending. Geopolitical analyst Patrick Henningsen says this could be a sign the Israeli lobby is losing influence.
As we know, the U.S. and some noises coming out of Washington, there is quite a large contingent within the United States that is looking to perhaps get into diplomatic negotiations with Iran and not be talking abrasively as they have in previous years. And Israel has entered the fray. The Israeli lobby is really putting pressure on those politicians in America to take a more Israeli line, which is a more hardcore line that has to do with perhaps inflaming a war with Iran. The big change here that we're looking at is a shift. There is a shift away from this kind of blind allegiance to Israel that is on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. There are splits appearing because Americans are realizing that it's not in their best interest, it's not in American interest to follow Israel's agenda. So therefore, AIPAC it's not beneficial for AIPAC to be running the government in Washington anymore as they have for the past 30 years.
Hey, you know America has...
Where can this friendship lead? The AIPAC Congress, this Sunday on RT.